I'm Derek Mazzoni. This is Sama, Seattle Sacred Music and Art. We're doing a weekly live stream of artists that play within the sacred music space, definitely past, present, and future. And this is very much future. I'm here with Otura Mun, the producer, the founder of the band. He's now living in New Orleans. He was in Puerto Rico, and now he's back in the United States sharing this music, sharing this culture. And for me personally, this is sacred music. Because when you say sacred music, people go like, church music? What are we talking about here? This music turns a nightclub into a venue, into a sacred space. I'm so jazzed that you bring that lighter back out again, please. And like we need that. We need that fire. We need that energy right now, especially in the world that we're living in right now. Thank you for offering that blessing. Mun, tell me how the band, the idea. Tell me your story, because it's a fascinating one, because this is ancient Santeria and Yoruban music, Afro-Caribbean music. This is, in many ways, it's thousands and thousands of years old, but you're putting it through a filter with the movement and the music that's changing this generation and generation beyond it. Please share.
I mean, so I grew up in Indiana, right? So born and raised in Indiana. I studied at the University of North Texas. So when I was 18, I went to the South, and I was there until about 1997. And then I took a vacation to Puerto Rico. It was the first time I'd been anywhere in Latin America. And as an African American coming to a Latin American country, the culture shock was just huge, and I sort of came in contact with a new culture, new language, and new music. And a couple years later, I decided, there's nothing stopping me from living that life and seeing what that is in a living day-to-day experience. So I picked up in 1999 and moved to Puerto Rico. I was DJing at the time to sort of make a living. And so I sort of got into the music scene really quickly, because I didn't need to talk to DJ. It was just get to the club, play the records, and I was really good at it. And if I didn't DJ, I wasn't going to eat, so I was super motivated.
I want you to finish, but I'm curious, because you said you discovered the music, you discovered a language. You weren't speaking Spanish when you got there, so you This is a really fascinating story, but I would love if you could, and finish your story, but I would love for you to tell me the community. Please speak to that if you can, but tell me how you went from gigging 5 nights a week. I know what that's like, and it's not an easy life. It's exhausting. And that's the way you make your money. So you're like DJing, but you're also looking at the door, because it's like, who comes in is going to pay you. In the story, how did that evolve into producing?
Puerto Rico had its own genre called reggaeton that had basically jacked some of the elements of hip hop and a lot of the elements of dancehall and basically made their own genre. And so there was a bit of I was playing for people that liked hip hop, but were probably bilingual or had family in New York and knew about New York hip hop that way. So it was like kind of a strange mix of like the hood and sort of middle class bilingual communities. And so, yeah, I mean, it was just, it's the kind of job I think that only could have happened in Puerto Rico, like where you just go and start digging English music to a crowd that's going to support that,
Got it. But how did that go from that to the Ife? Because, that's an interesting journey from playing hip hop and reggae even to what you're doing now.
Latin American people speaking in Yoruba or singing, and like the way, like seeing the Nigerian react to it said it all. So as an African American who felt that I was sort of robbed of culture and robbed of religion, to see my neighbors have it like in their hands was just really powerful to me. So I saw that in '99 when I moved. But I was also someone that felt that religion was a form of control. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't willing to submit to that. But I saw the power of it. So I was sort of like, I'm going to come back to that maybe someday.
Okay.
And in 2012, I had sort of like finished producing a bunch of projects and didn't have anything else on my plate. And I packed up everything and I was ready to move from Puerto Rico. And I traveled anywhere. Okay. And I traveled in the States a little bit for maybe like 3 months. And then I came back and realized, like, look, I still have some unfinished business here. And one of the things that I wanted to do was learn how to play Cuban rumba. But it's sort of like saying that you want to learn how to dance ballet or you want to become a jazz pianist or something. Like, you're going to have to lock yourself in the room for like a few years.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Yeah, that's what I did, man. So I got a teacher and I locked myself in my house for about 2 years.
Power of the religious, spiritual, shall we say, ceremony moved you in such a way that that is the power that feels like it could be the thing that could lead all of us as a species into the future. Like we, for a long time we were like, whatever, like Marxists were like, oh, religion, all that, done. We're not dealing with that, but it feels like, now wait a second, there's a closer connection, because with this belief system, it's an ancient belief system. It's tied to environment. It's tied to like, I'm not an expert or anything, but I know that there's a relationship with nature. There's a relationship with each other. It's not about, I don't want to, how do I say this exactly? It's not so wrapped up in, it's now, here, the moment. What are we doing here right now? It's not like, once you're past, then everything will be beautiful for you, like in some of these Abrahamic religions, where don't think about right now.
I think a good point for you would be that it's also about the past. So one of the key elements here is that my ancestors won't rest until they are honored.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So
perfect.
Here in this culture, we can do something bad and we feel like, well, I mean, it's just me here, but no. So they need recognition, and they need your honor, and they need you to do the right thing. So as you're not only doing the right thing for the people around you, you're doing the right thing for everyone that came before you. What I did here was I took the ceremonial music that you will play in a ritual when we're playing drum ceremonies that are possession ceremonies called toques de tambor, right? So in a ceremony, we as practitioners have an opportunity to literally play and have the deities possess followers so that we can communicate with the deities directly, right? So 3 drummers are going to play to bring deities to the ground, to possess followers, to have communication with those followers. And we play a pattern and sing songs for many different deities. There's a section in the ceremony where we sing for the dead or for the ancestors. And I took the songs from that section and I took them and played them pretty much exactly like they're played, but I made drums that were electronic that could play notes in the scale as opposed to being atonal. So now you're going to hear those same drum conversations, but harmonically talking to each other and using frequencies that would be impossible to reach without electronic music. In this song, I added one intro verse that's in English. It's really talking about you can hear your ancestors. Like, just listen to them. They're talking to you right now. So what you think you may have lost is right here. It's in the room with you. Just listen. And so I kind of say something like that at the beginning in English. And then the rest of it is almost as is ceremonial. Okay. And you're going to hear the lead drum is talking in all the low frequencies. So if you got headphones, put them on. Or if you got a bassy system, turn it up. Because it's kind of like a rock song with a bass player that's going, ah.
Perfect. And the timing for such a song couldn't be better. Okay. On Sama, Seattle Sacred Music and Art. Who's the singer with you?
So that's a woman named Lavoski. Yeah, man, I started working with Lavoski at the beginning of 2019. It was going to be kind of the first time that she went on the road with us. And then, you know, the zombie apocalypse kicked off in March and everything was canceled. So she lived really close in the same neighborhood I was living in. And actually had me on life support because Lavoski was basically delivering groceries to me every 2 weeks. And yeah, man, she's an amazing singer, man. And it was really cool to do these performances with her because she's such an agile singer and I'm not much of a singer, that it really sort of like pushed me to get to places that I wasn't able to get to before. And yeah, man, she's amazing.
Is she living in NOLA with you, or is she based?
No, she's in. I mean, I just got to know her like 2 months ago, so she's still in PR, but she'll be out there in a couple months.
Okay, so I want to go back to community. Can you tell me how you found that community? How did these people become part of your I can't say more than your crew, it's more than that, part of your tribe?
I was interested in the place and the people, and you know, the more I was there, it seemed like they were interested in me, you know, and I definitely like understood at a certain point that like if I wasn't going to be making music or art, that I had to leave because there wasn't a reason for me to be there, right? So that was the reason for me to be there, was to take my influences, which only I have, and cut them against what they have going on to be able to make something unique, you know, and that's all I have to offer. And so if I wasn't doing that and I wasn't making that sort of offering or creating something in that context, then I had to leave. Like I'm a big Ralph Lauren fan, right? So the idea of like being like, no, I'm gonna stop playing music. I'm gonna get a job at the Polo store, and I'm gonna, you know, like that just can't happen.
That's not your path. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, yeah, I lived there for 21 years, man. You know, I'm from Indiana. I lived there for 18. So I'd been in Puerto Rico for 21 years, brother.
Okay.
You know, I know it more than I know any place else.
That's your home.
It knows me.
Puerto Rico. It's an interesting time in this country right now. The energy, what we can learn from the people of Puerto Rico, how they can help the people of the rest of the people of the United States, the rest of humanity. There's so much beautiful knowledge in these. I'm not saying small as in like they're large places, but like in these places that people would just like overlook. Like they're not huge. They're not making a gigantic global impact. But the fact that they're.
May I say two things real quick?
Yeah.
I think one thing that the American mainland people have to learn from Puerto Rico is that the fact that they don't know much about Puerto Rico is uniquely tied to the other fact, which is they are directly oppressing the people of Puerto Rico through a colonial system. So the people of Puerto Rico have something to teach Americans about the resilience of a people who are oppressed by a people who don't even know they exist.
So you're in Puerto Rico. You've been there for, it's now your language. And when did you start dreaming in Spanish?
I don't know, man. I know that within like a year I could have a conversation, and I also, I don't know about dreaming, but like I was a quick learner, but I was totally submersed, man. I mean, I don't even know how to like I'm a skateboarder, right? And so I would skate like when I was there, like, I don't know, 6 hours a day or something. And so most of the kids I skate with didn't speak any English. And so my first year was a lot of just keeping my mouth shut and listening to people.
And listening. It's a movie. Yeah. What a magical story to be able to share that. Okay, so let's hear another song. And then we'll talk a little bit more about how you're surviving, and more importantly, what the future could be. Ife, Ansama. Laboski. Pipes. She's got pipes.
Yeah, man. No, she's incredible, man. That's like a star that fell out of the sky, man.
In Puerto Rico.
She's great. Yeah, man. I think maybe she's been there like 2 years now. We met really, I think maybe within 6 months of the time she got there, and just became friends. And yeah, man, I was really excited to go on the road with her, and I still am. Like once things get back to normal, we're gonna go out there.
Yeah. How are you surviving now, and how does this reality play in what you'll be doing with this in the future? In like the near future, like let's say winter 2021.
Okay,
you're out, you're playing.
I'm surviving by basically selling records. So I printed up an EP which you heard one track of, which is music for Ego Movement 3. That's an EP called The Living Dead. So I'm selling that. If you go to Ife's Bandcamp page, we're selling that one. I have my own record label called Discos Ifa. I pressed another record that I made 8 years ago for an artist, the reggae rock artist named Young Rago. So I pressed that. And then I started like a fictitious store called Ghost Town Mini Mart. That's like a store that's existed in my mind for a couple years, but I never had the name. And so the name just sort of dawned on me 3 months ago. And I copped the URL, started making things for it. And like between Ghost Town Mini Mart and the record label, and then just crazy things that'll come out of like, I scored a film. Like that was not on the radar for me at all. Like, and so I got a film offer that was great, like a bunch of just random things. So I just feel like I'm blessed, and that's why I've been supported by the deities that are with me, and I've not been allowed to fall.
This music creates that space where people are transcended or transformed, not in a way where it's like the angels have come and taken me away. It's much more, it's, I can't even speak to it, but it's you're there with your ancestors, you're there with your tribe, you're there with your people, you're there with, even in that moment at that club, like one of those things. As soon as that your first song Three Mujeres came out, I was like, this is one of those, I can swear, one of those fucking songs where everybody instantly falls in love in the club with everybody else in the club, with the band, with the person singing next to each other. You know what I'm talking about? It's like for that moment. And sometimes it's the next song or the third song. Even as a DJ, you can make that happen. And sometimes it's a perfect set. So you've got that. As soon as I heard it, it's like, why am I tearing up? This is this thing.
That's great.
I want you to speak to that a little bit, because it's not like you're coming in there as like bragging or like, you know, a pyrotechnic crazy show. It's like, wow, this is a spectacular. It's like there's a deeper message here. There's something here that you're presenting. I think I could be wrong. You say no, it's not it. But I'm leaving it open to you to tell me what you're bringing.
What John Coltrane was trying to reach for in his music. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I don't think that I'm on that level right now, but like my favorite song from John is Spiritual. I don't know if you know that song from him.
Oh, yeah.
Live Village Vanguard, like that one does it. And if I can ever make something that communicates on that level, then I'm doing the right things, you know? And so I think part of what makes Ife's music pull people in a way that they can't even really understand is the fact that there's prayer so baked into the music that like it's just going to work on you, because there are prayers that are thousands of years old and they've worked on people for a long time, and they're in the music. You might not recognize them as prayer, but that's what they are. And also the drums are also praying. So in the way that Western people might think that prayer can only be in words, Africans knew that the prayer could also be spoken through drums. So it's working on several different levels that are probably imperceptible to people, but you can feel it. And I think that's what you're getting from the music. So I tried to build a house that has many different entrances, you know, and there's like, let's say the ground floor has like 6 entrances, but there's floors to this thing. And you might be totally content on the first floor, but there's like, you know, maybe 8 of them. And depending on how much you know about what I'm doing, there's a conversation that could be had on several different levels. And jazz is a lot like that. You don't need to know jazz harmony to enjoy a Parker record. But if you know what Parker's doing, then you can follow it on a level that other people cannot. You know? This
is perfect answer. Thank you.
When I was learning to play the drums, well, my dad was a meter reader for the gas company for like, I don't know, 30 plus years or something. Might be before. If he's watching and he was like, hey, there's 45, I don't know. But, you know, he gave me like his old cassette tape. So he would walk around like 8 or 9 hours a day and listen to music. And he would give me the tapes that he was done with. And at one point he gave me Stevie Winwood's Back in the High Life. And that same year, I took my first drum set lesson. And I started learning how to play drums. And I remember the first time I got in a drum set, the guy put on Higher Love, and he showed me how to play that song, right? So it's been like an important song for me for a long time. But when I heard it after I initiated to become a Babalao, before I did that initiation, I was crowned in Oshun. And Oshun is my main deity. And so I was listening to the words, and the words were like, just hit me in a different way. You know, and I felt like that would be a great tune to sing for Oshun. And so I just reworked it and put it into like a rumba clave. And so we start off singing the Stevie Winwood tune, and then we finish with a series of prayers for Oshun.
Miseria,